big, raw, modern V12 Ferrari.
Oh, I really want to misbehave in this. Okay, let's see what the Italian Viper does. Oh, it's doing lots of things I like.
This is a really good Ferrari to dream about.
What's up, people? So today I am excited to show you something. It's a 2007 Ferrari 599 GTB, and I'm wondering, is this the best value for a big, raw, modern V12 Ferrari? But also, I'm pretty excited about this. Hope you guys go over to Freddie Tavarish's channel, because debuting is the newest car trek with Ed Bolian from VinWiki, Tyler Huber, Hoovy's Garage, and of course, Tavarish. So this car will be on. Check it out. I want to show you guys the engine before we go for a drive, because it's that pretty. This engine is everything you've come to expect and love from Ferrari, and they certainly didn't disappoint. Look at this thing, come on in. I mean, I used to be a part-time Ferrari mechanic back in the day in college and whatnot, and I love wrinkle red valve covers. And you know, the entire intake manifolds, plenum, it's just beautiful. For being as modern of a car as it is, it's just fantastic. Great craftsmanship, and I can't wait to try it out. And this engine traces lineage directly to the Ferrari Enzo, but it's in a front engine Grand Tour, so let's go for a drive.
I like being back in a Ferrari. This is good. Ready, dude?
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, so this is in fact a Car Trek car.
It is, yes.
And I have watched your series, so are there any special quirks, features, or weirdities I need to know about?
Absolutely, but we'll get to those later.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I just started.
Exactly.
And it's got a button.
Got a button.
Because that's important.
And LED lights.
Ooh!
Oh, yes.
Hey! That's not a normal Ferrari exhaust.
No, it's not, and it's also not the HGTE exhaust. So this has the retrofitted kit to give you a little bit more handling.
Okay.
Gran Turismo Evolution. That comes with a different
Does it?
exhaust. But that's not what this is. This has a fab speed exhaust that deletes the secondary cats, and it's quite loud.
So this has got all the cool handling stuff.
Yep.
It's got the big ceramic brakes, carbon ceramic brakes.
Yep.
And it's got a ripping exhaust.
It's sweet on it. Yes. Yeah, so this one was a 338 MSRP.
Okay.
And they were so hot when they were new. I'll take it out of automatic mode, which it
thank you.
defaults to.
I forget it does that. Does it?
It
default
does,
to auto?
yeah, and you can't do it. My Scud does it too.
Huh.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So yeah, let's go.
Whoa, hey. Hello. I like this.
Car racing is the most affordable form of motorsports there is, and it's also the most competitive. So for that reason, you've got to have an amazing chassis. And for me, it's TopKart. When I'm at a race, I simply go to TopKartUSA.com, check out their chassis setup and tuning guide, and that's the secret that gets me on the podium. So when it's time for you to go racing, call up TopKart USA.
I really like this car. I have not been in a 599, yeah, I said that right, 599 GTB. And this car is deceiving because it looks very big when you see it, and you're thinking, I don't know, is that gonna be cool? Is it gonna have an edge? Is it gonna suit me? And I'm in this thing, and it just feels right. I can see out of it, I can feel it doesn't feel big, and it just wants to rip.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it makes great power. It's got an insanely good throttle response.
Yeah.
It's sprung right now. It's still a little soft to me, especially in the nose, but
yeah,
overall, I find it to be a truly brilliant touring car. Now, this one was in a flood. It was in a rainstorm flood in Reno, Nevada.
It didn't seem to do much damage.
Well, it shorted out some of the connectors to the airbag sensors in this seat, hence the airbag light being on. And it also took out the screen in the gauge cluster.
Oh, that's why it's dark.
Exactly,
oh,
yeah.
That's supposed to tell me things.
It does. It would tell you things. It would also include your fuel gauge, your odometer, your coolant temp gauge, your oil temp gauge, and all the alerts that don't result in their own light.
So what does it take to make that work again?
It's the backlighting. So I think it can be rebuilt. So it's if you shine a flashlight on it, you can read it.
Oh,
yeah. So that happened. There's also a clunk in the front right suspension that comes and goes, and I think it's the top shock mount, which is super hard to get to.
Okay.
So we just got to go more disassembly than is convenient. But overall, it's great. I think I've got a little bit of a whine out of what I think is the input bearing on the transmission.
Sixth gear.
Sixth gear whines, yeah. And so, but it's not that bad.
Right.
And that's the thing about the car is most of the stuff I really don't care about.
Yeah.
It just drives. I do wish I could get the steering wheel 3 inches closer to me.
It has that kind of oddity where it's like, it's sort of like, my wife's mom's right, it feels higher than it should be.
Correct. Yeah. And that's one of the artifacts of the way they styled cars in the 2000s is they raised the shoulder line and made the windows smaller. And so it meant the dashes came up too.
Right.
So that's a thing. But I mean, you know, for a car that was the biggest, baddest, coolest thing they could do at that point.
And this was the basis for the GTO?
It is, yeah.
GTO?
So they do kind of a lightweight version of most of the models now. So they did the 348 Series Speciale, they did the 355 Fiorano, they did the Challenge Stradale, they did the 430 Scuderia, Speciale, Pista. But then with this car, they started doing it with the V12 front engine cars. And so they did the GTO, which gave way to the TDF, and now we have the Competizione on the 812.
Now Ferrari, in the very modern times that we are in, are starting to get away from V12s and their classic formulas.
That is correct. It's unclear if the 812 will be the last V12 naturally aspirated car, non-hybridized.
Yes.
So they're looking at a lot of different things. You know, initially they said we're not going electric. Now they're like, well, we kind of have to go electric.
So if you want the classic Formula Ferrari front engine V12 incredible car, what was after this?
The F12 replaced this car.
That's it.
Yeah. So there you went double clutch. You went, you know, they're modern styling.
Sure.
And this car was never wildly popular from a stylistic perspective. It's not as classically beautiful as a 550, 575 was that it replaced.
Yes, but it does have certain curves and characteristics that a 550 didn't.
True, absolutely. Yeah, a 550 was a profile car or a straight-on nose car. This is a 3/4 angle car, which is what we've become much more accustomed to. And so especially from a rear 3/4 angle, I think it's spectacular. But, you know, so the premise for Car Trek was, this time around, was Ferraris for the price of a Camry.
Got it.
And now
how did you manage that?
Right.
What's a Camry cost?
Well, a Camry can cost anywhere from $30,000 to about $48,000.
Okay, so you're up to about $50K. So, this seems nicer than a $50K car to me. How'd you do it?
Correct. So this car, were it perfect and having a clean title, would be about $1.25, 125, 130 grand. I bought it in real money for 80 grand, but in doing so, I actually traded a Diablo that I'd paid 78 grand for, and I got 38 grand back. So I own it for 40 grand.
I get it, nice.
And I feel like that's within the spirit of things, right? Well, and also, you know, the idea of buying a cheap Ferrari and what ownership is going to be like, and for those that go to watch the series, they'll see what that meant for Freddie and his 308 GTB. It's not what you romanticize about Ferrari ownership, unfortunately.
Yeah, no,
And so what I wanted to say in this car was like, this is a really good Ferrari to dream about.
Yeah.
And I think at 100 or 120 grand, I don't know that there's a better car that you could own.
I'm agreeing, because, you know, for that price or a little less, you can get really nice 430s, but that is a V8 mid-engine Ferrari, where this is the grand, big, beautiful V12.
Correct.
So in this V12, how similar is it to an Enzo?
Same displacement, same setup. Cap the rev limit to 8,400 RPM rather than 9,000, and it makes 612 horsepower rather than 660.
That's it.
But Ferrari said that the car went, that the car went 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds.
This one?
But it's 3.3, which is the same as an Enzo.
Oh, I really want to misbehave in this. Oh, God, I like this.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I kind of adore this already, and I'm being very good not to get us in trouble right now, because this feels like a super highly sophisticated Viper, like my Viper Coupe.
That's true. Yeah, it has that kind of feel to it.
And okay, so we drove your SL McLaren, amazing. I would put that on my list. But this car is getting me excited like when I was a kid again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And more. Yeah.
And nobody thinks about a 599.
No.
I mean, they're pretty rare cars. They didn't sell all that many of them, but at the end of the day, like, you know, this is about the same price as most Gallardos.
Yeah.
You know, give or take.
Yeah.
And I think it's way cooler. It's about the same price as most R8s, and I think it's way cooler. I mean, you know, would it kind of be nice as a stick? Yes, but they only brought 30 stick 599s to the US, and the way they engineered it, they all fail. And so nobody puts a lot of miles on stick 599s. There are people that are trying to convert them, but you end up with wonky electronics and stuff like that. So, honestly, I think if you're looking for a cheap Ferrari, and this is not cheap at 80 or 120 grand,
a lot of money.
However, it ain't depreciating.
True.
You can finance them for forever, and you can drive the heck out of this car.
Yeah.
Did that start working?
Yeah, the mirror's working.
Oh!
Fix your car.
Fix my car. Thank you. You bill me a service.
Okay, so I have a question. So what the heck is Hoovie and Freddie gonna get to beat this?
Well, so Freddie bought a 1978 308 GTB.
Carbureted.
Yes.
Okay.
And not a good one. Not a good one at all.
Okay.
Real piece of junk. And so, but it was 30 grand. It was what you could buy in a Ferrari.
Does it have any oil pressure?
Oh no.
No.
I mean, it leaked so much, and honestly, from an entertainment perspective, it was ideal.
Great, yeah.
It did not go very well for him, but Tyler actually did it kind of properly.
Okay.
So he bought from Dubai a Japanese spec 456 GT. Manual, V12.
Really?
Front engine, 2+2.
Oh, okay.
The car that preceded the 612. We'll hop in this right lane. And
got it. Now, see if I can get around BMW, man. I'll just put it over now.
And that was a 45 grand car, so kind of the top of what a real Camry is. He wound up with a good bit more in it after importation. It is. Yep.
Got it. Okay. Oh, and we're actually gonna get a be nice right here. Okay, let's see what the Italian Viper does. Oh, it's doing lots of things I like. Yes. Well, you're faster than Hoovie and Freddie anyway.
Very much, yeah. So we actually, in the second episode, we do a handicapped race.
Oh, okay.
And in one lap of Motorsports Ranch in Crescent, Texas, I was 25 seconds faster than the 308.
Oh my God!
And so we did that for a photo finish, and it was a blast.
Did you do the thing where you started 25 seconds later?
Yeah.
Got it.
So yeah, the 456 was right in the middle, and yeah, we see who could win.
This exit or next?
Let's go to the next one.
Okay.
We got the right lane after.
Got it. Yes. Goodbye. This is fantastic.
Oh, it is such a good car. I mean, and I'm a sucker for gray over red cars, because when Ferrari set the world speed records with the 550 Maranello in '97, they used a titanium over Bordeaux 550, and they did fastest 100 miles, fastest 100 kilometers, and furthest distance driven in an hour.
I love it.
And that is my second favorite Ferrari on earth, to the Yates Carney Daytona.
This car is incredibly light on its feet and live. You wouldn't expect it.
No.
When you look at it.
No, you would not. And that's why it was so, hot when it came out. I mean, they brought massive. This car sold for 200 grand over sticker to its second owner.
Wow.
Supposedly it was the 26th 599 in the U.S.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, what did it actually sell for when that guy bought it for
560.
560.
Yeah, well, it was more than 200 over, because it was like 335 or 338 MSRP plus the 35 grand HGTE package.
Gotcha. So,
but yeah, like on a cloverleaf like this, I mean, the car sticks really, really nicely. I mean, we took it to Gateway Canyon, Colorado. That was the premise. We bought cheap Ferraris, and we took them on a 1,000-mile road trip to the greatest road in America. Okay. And sublime.
Oh my gosh. Well, and it's immediately intuitive. There's nothing weird about it, per se.
Which, coming out of the SLR, where literally everything is weird.
The SLR was awesome, and I give you permission to call that your Batmobile, because it was every bit as weird, in a good way, as the Batmobile.
Yep. And in a lot of ways, this is Batmobile-ish.
It is Batmobile-ish, but in a
lively way,
real-world way.
The way that they would like you to believe the Batmobile drives.
Correct.
Which I would imagine it's not so much like that.
No, it is not.
Now, the other thing about this versus an Enzo is it has a better gearbox.
Straight?
Yeah, straight.
Really?
Yeah, so the Enzo uses what's
Does this have a transaxle or is it a transmission?
Transaxle.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true. You may have to edit that down.
Okay.
The transmission's here somewhere.
Yeah.
So why is it better?
Because it smells like maple syrup.
Something. I don't know what that
I don't
is.
think that they use that as a lubricant in this car.
No.
But yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah. Regardless, so they. What did you ask me?
Oh, the transmission. You were saying it's better than the Enzo in some way.
Yeah. So the Enzo used the Challenge Stradale transmission and
Really?
programming, and so that was that generation of single clutch sequential manual. This is what they call the F1 Superfast, and it is considerably better.
Wow. I did not realize the Enzo had the Challenge Stradale.
Yeah, so that was the latest and greatest in 2003-04 was the 360 version of F1. Yep, exactly.
I don't know. I guess I assumed the Enzo had something more in it.
No, I mean, it's a clunky gearbox, and this has its clunkiness, but also it has a little bit of a mechanical simplicity to it, as stupid as that sounds when we're talking about these, but like, this is a serviceable gearbox and shift apparatus.
Oh, really?
A double clutch is not. It is a box that you don't open and you don't touch, and when it breaks, you throw it away and get a new $30,000 gearbox.
You spend a lot of money.
Exactly. So this car doesn't really have any major monsters in the closet.
Nice.
The shocks
You
can
turn
leak.
right up there?
You can, yeah, right.
Is it right there?
Good.
The other way.
The shocks can leak, and they're $4,000 a corner.
Oh, great.
But you know, they actually use the same magnetic shocks that the 09 ZR1s used.
You're kidding?
Yeah.
The same basic ones, or literally like you can't
it's a
swap
GM
them, can
watch
you?
that pothole there.
Got it. Thank you.
I don't know if they're cross compatible, but they are sourced from GM.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah.
And they're probably a magnetic ride type sensing
Exactly.
heat adjusting.
Yeah. I haven't really found them to feel adaptive, if I'm honest with you. Like, I think it's kind of always the same, but it's good.
So if one were to put some really high-end adjustable coilovers on something, would that skits out of the computer somewhere?
I would imagine so, yeah. Because the Menatino that moves between sport and race and all this stuff would probably freak out. But yeah, like, I mean, what do you think? Like, if you were telling somebody that had give or take $100,000 budget what to look at, what do you send them to other than this?
Well, I have been thinking about that for the future because, you know, I'm going to want something in that realm. And, yeah, I would. Because, I got to be honest, I like V12s.
Absolutely.
I like pretty cars that have a touch of being classic, but I like them being... Does that mean I can go?
Yeah, you can go on this way.
I like them being modern enough I can feel like I can just get in and blast around. I adore how live this thing is. It feels like a proper track race car in a way, but I can daily drive this thing around in Grand Tour in it. So if you want a front engine car, V12 for that price range, what's going to beat it? Nothing.
You could argue that maybe the Bentley's a little bit more comfortable. You could argue that from a performance perspective, 997 Turbo S is brilliant, but I wouldn't rather own anything you can buy for that money than this.
Yeah, those don't trip the same boxes for me. And the other thing about it is, too, I was more into Ferraris back in kind of the early 2000s because things that are now more vintage and obscure were a little more real, and I was more connected to old Ferraris. And this car came out right after I kind of wasn't doing the Ferrari thing as much.
Yep.
And so I'm finding myself now, maybe I've matured a little bit, maybe the taste, I don't know what, finding myself kind of reigniting a passion for Ferrari.
Sure. I get that.
Yeah, and this, being where it is, especially in the market right now, I think is hitting that right in the sweet spot.
Well, how old are you?
I turn 40 this summer.
So you were in 2007.
We're terrible at math.
Yes.
Mid-late 20s.
Yeah. So I was 22. And so for me, this car represents the coolest thing when I was at a time where the coolest cars were so the coolest thing, right? And so to me, all my cars are in that way, like the cars that I would have bought if I won the lottery when I was 20 years old.
Right.
And so to me, there's something that brand new cars can't be cooler than, and it's that.
True, and the difficulty for brand new cars for me, being with the financials, I don't like taking a hit.
I can't do that.
I like letting somebody else take the hit, and I'm still going to love the car in 10 years. And then that way, you let me know if it's got bugs.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm deeply allergic to depreciation.
Yes. Well, the other thing that's interesting too, so you mentioned that about the cars that are dream cars at that age, but for me, by the early 2000s, everything that I was going to like was I liked. And then that's when I became a curmudgeon for a good decade. And I'm like, I hate everything new and I'm not going to look at it. But now that I'm kind of over being a curmudgeon, I'm looking back going, 599, that's like a brand new car. And now it's cheaper. Yes. Yeah. So I've got like a whole nother angle at the depreciated supercar Grand Tour hypercar thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it.
It's like being in a coma for 15 years.
Right.
It's perfect.
What's this Facebook?
Awesome. Well, anyway, I'm really excited. I hope you guys all go check out the Car Trek series on the Tavares channel. Obviously, big fan of Vin Wiki, told some more stories in it. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity today.
Absolutely. Be sure to subscribe.
Appreciate it, guys. We will see you next time. On right now, we've got a red light and an Acura in front of me. Hold on.
Go away.
Okay. Yes. All right, now that's a proper editing. Oh, yes. See you guys next time.
Well, a huge shout out to KW Suspension. Guys, this year you're gonna see beautiful coilovers such as this going on many of my cars, including my Porsche 944, my Dodge Viper, and even some of these crazy race cars. And the reason is simple. This is one of the best shock companies in the world. It was founded in Germany in 1992 by Klaus Wohlfarth, and recently they just launched a new 1.2 million square foot robotic warehouse where they're creating unbelievably nice suspension components such as this for 15 different original equipment manufacturers. So, whether you're a street enthusiast, a weekend track warrior, or you are building the Le Mans car of your dreams, guys, check out KW Suspension. Unbelievably nice shocks. So go down in the description below, patronize them. You're gonna be glad you did.